Sometimes, before you can give a hypothesis a chance, you have to be open to it being a possibility in the first place. When my confidence in NASA was shattered, that made it a lot easier for me to be open to the idea of the flat Earth. With that being said, I'm not here to ridicule and make rude remarks. I'm simply here because I want to share the evidence and allow you to see what I see. So let's get started. This first clip comes from an interview Buzz had with the physicist Brian Cox. Now let's listen carefully to what they talk about.
I should ask, who is that a photograph of? I suppose it's a fairly obvious answer that it would be Buzz, given the conversation we're having. But it's probably the most famous picture from the surface of the moon, I would say. And many people say that's Neil Armstrong, but in fact, it's you and Neil in the reflection. So what's the story of that? It's probably the most iconic photograph in human history, actually.
Neil was such an excellent photographer. See, I was walking along like this, and he said, "Hey, stop." So I stopped and looked at him, and he took the picture right away. And you can see parts, you can identify that I was just still moving a little bit. But people ask me because it's so well staged, and we call it the visor picture.
Wait, what did he mean by that? Like, it's on a stage?
Everyone, this is my daughter Alina joining us today.
Hi.
By the dictionary, that's exactly what the word means. But let's continue this clip and then we'll come back and talk about that.
Yeah. Because the reflection in the visor will show the landing craft, and it'll show the white-suited astronaut, Neil, that took the picture. And you can see my shadow moving out. So we call that the visor picture. But people have asked me, why is that such a perfect, an iconic picture? And I've got 3 words. Location, location, location.
Now, the word staged has multiple meanings, and many people out there are not instantly convinced by this alone that Buzz was actually admitting that the moon landing was done on a stage. Since there's another definition, that means the picture was well thought out or planned for a desired impression. But you heard Buzz talk about how the photo was taken. When you described Neil taking the picture, did that photo sound at all planned out to you? Or did it sound like it was a spontaneous, on-the-spot decision?
Totally on the spot.
Yeah, he was just walking along and then, "Hey, let me take your picture."
Yeah, you definitely can't call that planned out.
Yeah, and this isn't the only time Buzz admits things. Let's go watch him in another interview and I'll show you what I mean. This next clip comes from an interview Buzz had on the talk show Conan.
Presumptuous
Buzz.
Here. I can call you Buzz. Okay.
That's a legal name. Passport,
Okay.
driver's license.
And I am Uncle Coney tonight.
Uncle Coney.
Let's talk about this, because this is fascinating. I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does. I remember my parents waking me up, and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
Whoa, that's really strong.
I know, right? There wasn't anyone taking the picture. You watched animation.
That is pretty clear. It doesn't get any clearer than that.
Well, actually, it does. Let me show you. But first, let's finish this clip, and then I want to show you something else.
See, you associated what you saw with.
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It was
and
exciting.
A few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah. This was.
So he was just saying what they listened to on the radio, but they didn't actually see anything. And everyone was just trusting what they heard on the radio.
That reminds me of a time I heard about when they played the story The War of the Worlds on the radio, and people started freaking out because they thought aliens were actually taking over the world.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
This next clip I want to share with you comes from the Apollo 11 press conference, when Buzz and the other astronauts supposedly just got back from the moon and were talking to all of the different reporters. Buzz is the really angry-looking guy in the blue suit on the left.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the Apollo 11 crew, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin.
Wait, hold on. Why did they just call him Edwin? Didn't he just tell that one guy that his real name is Buzz?
And this is my daughter Melody, who is also joining us today.
Hi.
Presumptuous
Buzz.
here. I can call you Buzz. Okay.
That's a legal name. Passport,
Okay.
driver's license.
And I am Uncle Coney tonight.
Uncle Coney.
Let's
I've gotta look that up now. What is Buzz's real name? Okay, it turns out Buzz's birth name was Edwin, but he legally changed his name to Buzz 19 years after the moon landing.
The official story was that Buzz was his childhood nickname, given to him by his little sister who couldn't say brother, but instead called him Buzzer. Buzz was 39 when he claimed to go to the moon, which means he was 58 when he decided to change his name.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's really strange that he would suddenly decide to change his name after so long.
I know, right? According to biography.com, after Buzz got home, he got really depressed and started drinking a lot because he felt like a publicity pawn for NASA. That makes me wonder if this was Buzz's way of fighting back, by making his own name a big hint. Notice how the word buzz means a rumor or report.
That's interesting.
Although there's another definition down here which means slightly intoxicated. So it could be his way of saying, hello, my name is Buzz, and I'm an alcoholic. But we're not trying to make fun of his name here or anything. We're just looking for clues. So let's leave it at that and move on. Alright, now, I want to skip forward a little farther into the press conference to where Buzz, or Edwin back then, describes what he did when he first got to the moon.
We also made use of the stars through the telescope and aligning a crosshair by rotating the field of view until the crosshair superimposed on the star. This would give us the angular measurement of the star within the field of view of the telescope. We then determine the distance out by aligning another reticle spiral on this. We went through an averaging technique on board and then fed this information into the computer, and this came up with our various alignment checks.
So as soon as he got to the moon, he said he checked the alignment system with the stars he could see in his telescope. Now let's compare that to what Neil Armstrong, the guy sitting next to him, said in another interview done with the BBC.
Mr. Armstrong, I do realize that when you were on the moon, you had very little time for gazing upwards. But could you tell us something about what the sky actually looks like from the moon, the sun, the earth, the stars, if any, and so on?
The sky is a deep black when viewed from the moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the moon. The Earth is the only visible object other than the sun that can be seen, although there have been some reports of seeing planets. I myself did not see planets from the surface, but I suspect they might be visible.
How could he look at the stars in his telescope if he couldn't see any stars?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to navigate between the Earth and the moon depending on the stars when you can't see any stars.
Exactly. Something else people love to point out is just how incredibly bored each of them look throughout their meeting. This is their big day where they just got back from the moon and get to speak to all the different reporters. But none of them look very happy at all.
Neil?
It was our pleasure to have participated in one great adventure. It's an adventure that took place not just in the month of July, but rather one that took place in the last decade. We all here and the people
listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure over its developing and unfolding in the past months and years. It's our privilege today to share with you some of the details of that final month of July that was certainly the highlight for the three of us of that decade. We're going to divert a little bit from the format of past press conferences and talk about the things that interested us most, in particular the things that occurred on and about the moon. We will use a number of films and slides which most of you have already seen, and with the intent of pointing out some of the things that we observed on the spot which may not be obvious to those of you who are looking at them here from the surface of Earth.
Yeah, they look more like they're speaking at someone's funeral more than anything else.
Maybe he doesn't look angry here. Maybe he's just really sad.
You're right. They look really guilty here.
Now let's compare that to a more recent video of Buzz when he was attending Donald Trump's announcement of the Space Force.
To members of the Cabinet, distinguished members of Congress who join us, leaders in business and industry, honored guests, and especially 3 American astronauts who've joined us today. Lieutenant Colonel David Wolf, Colonel Alvin Drew, and the second man on the moon, the legendary Colonel Buzz Aldrin. Welcome to the White House.
Did you catch that enormous eye roll?
Joins us today, Lieutenant Colonel David Wolf, Colonel Alvin Drew, and the second man on the moon, the legendary Colonel Buzz Aldrin. Welcome to the White House.
Yeah, sure I was.
If he really went to the moon, then why would he do that?
It doesn't just end there. He keeps making these interesting faces all throughout the entire speech.
Today we're taking a crucial step to secure America's future in space by reviving the National Space Council after it has been dormant almost 25 years, if you can believe it. During the campaign, Vice President Pence promised that our administration, because Mike's very much into space, would revive the National Space Council. And with this executive order, we're keeping that promise. I feel very strongly about it. I felt strongly about it for a long time.
His expressions are very different here than they were before. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I used to say, before doing what I did, I used to say, what happened? Why aren't we moving forward? Today's announcement sends a clear signal to the world that we are restoring America's proud legacy of leadership in space.
How would you describe what his expressions are saying here?
He's like, it's kind of like he's saying that he didn't actually go to the moon, and he's just like, no, I didn't do that. There's a whole bunch of lies, but I'll go with it.
The human soul yearns for discovery. By unlocking the mysteries of the universe, we unlock truths within ourselves. That's true. Our journey into space will not only make us stronger and more prosperous, but will unite us behind grand ambitions and bring us all closer together. Wouldn't that be nice? Can you believe that space is going to do that? I thought politics would do that. Well, we'll have to rely on space instead. Every launch into the skies is another step forward toward a future where our differences seem small against the vast expanse of our common humanity. Sometimes you have to view things from a distance in order to see the real truth. It is America's destiny to be at the forefront of humanity's eternal quest for knowledge and to be the leader amongst nations on our adventure into the great unknown. And I could say the great and very beautiful unknown. Nothing more beautiful. With the actions we're launching today, America will think big once again. Important words. Think big. We haven't been thinking so big for a long time, but we're thinking big again as a country.
Now watch as this guy walks up to Buzz and simply asks him to swear on the Bible that he walked on the moon. It isn't like he's asking him to do something really difficult here.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything.
Tell him to get out of here.
This is a hotel.
We'll call the police.
We pay.
Come on in here. We'll call the police.
Solicit on
You like that?
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir. I don't have nothing to do with this. But
Okay.
you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid
Right now,
to rent out the penthouse to shoot up there. So
you can't solicit like this on this property.
keep shooting.
All right. Well, then I'd go through my measures.
Yeah.
This clip actually continues to the point where Buzz actually punches the guy. And I have a link to that in this video's description if you want to see it. But we do not condone harassing anyone. I just wanted to share this because I think it is important to see just how strongly Buzz refused to simply promise that he actually went to the moon. That right there says a lot. Now, this next clip is really, really strong. So listen carefully as Buzz answers this little girl's question.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
Whoa. Yeah, that's pretty clear. Especially after seeing all of those other videos.
Buzz definitely seems to be our guy on the inside here, dropping us hints left and right that he didn't actually go. I mean, you just go to buzzaldrin.com, and what does it say one of his favorite pastimes is? Scuba diving!
I wonder why.
Though evidence that NASA lies does not prove that the Earth is flat, it certainly does open the door to accept the flat Earth as a possibility.
This video is brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science.
Thanks for watching!
When you are ready to give the flat Earth hypothesis a try, please come check out our playlist. We teach a whole course on that with over 100 individual lessons, with each one for the most part being under 15 minutes long.